Hey guys, what's up? Today's probably going to be the biggest video that I've ever made. I really hope that you guys stick with it until the end. Today we're going to go in depth into PvP, and hopefully this will help you become a better player and have a better understanding of how it actually works. First, we need to actually understand how PvP works. In the Crucible level, and I say Crucible level because there's Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris later, but in the Crucible, attack and defense rating don't matter. All weapons deal the same base damage based on their archetype. In my last video I covered the different archetypes, so if you're not sure what those are, you can revert back to that. The only exception is in level advantage games such as Iron Banner. Then, although stats do matter, though their effects are still scaled down a bit compared to PvE. Still though, when level advantages are enabled, your weapon and armor mods will function normally, but not every mod will be as equally useful in PvP as they will, but they will still behave the same. A good example of this is if you have a weapon that does extra void damage. That is a useless mod in PvP, sort of, and while your weapon will still function as said, it won't affect anyone in PvP. Now let's look into some basics of PvP. First and foremost, never run solo. You will most often die, and die a lot. Always try to run in 2s or 3s. I know this can be hard if you are not playing with friends, because playing with randoms can be extremely challenging, but if you just pick a player and kind of follow them around and help create the 2v1 situations, that'll greatly increase your odds of winning and help to maintain your KD at a reasonable number. But you also want to make sure that you're not following so close that you all get murked by nades or rockets. Next, you need to learn the maps. And really the only way to do that is to play them a lot. Learning the maps will help you learn the hot routes, the callouts, and depending on the game type you're playing, the objective rotations. Hot routes are the areas most traveled. They're also known as lanes in Call of Duty. Controlling these areas is called map control, and this allows you and your team to control how the game goes and where the enemies will have to go. If you have a really awesome Slayer controlling, say, the left lane, and again this is all hypothetical, and the enemies know that they can't get past him, that forces them to go to one of the other 2 lanes. Thus makes them highly predictable. Now with Destiny and the maps, there's like a flank route for a flank route for a flank route. So again, knowledge of the map is going to determine, where these people go. Once you get to know the maps and you get to realize where everyone tends to go, then, your prediction rate is going to really be top notch. Callouts are very important because they act as a secondary radar. If you see an enemy or get killed by an enemy and call it out, you're giving your team the general location of that enemy, and if your teammate is close to him, they can look for him and expect to meet him, thus being that much more prepared for a gunfight. Just like with any highly competitive game, seconds matter, and the more aware you are and your team is, the better advantage you have. This takes us into learning situational awareness. Situational awareness is the ability to know your surroundings well enough to be able to outplay your opponent. Knowing what's around you will help you with evading and predicting gunfights, as well as predicting player movement, which is what we just talked about. As for gunfights, the #1 rule to win a gunfight is headshots. And I'm going to say it again, headshots. Not chest shots, not crotch shots, not knee shots, headshots. If you've ever wondered why you just got melted so fast, it was because they got headshots. Typically, 2 to 4 shots to the head will end any opponent. That's just kind of a rough estimate. I can't 100% prove that that's as accurate as I'm saying because we don't have private lobbies, but it's a pretty safe assumption. I know I run, I forget the name of the auto rifle that I run, but it doesn't take that many headshots. Maybe at most 7 bullets, and that's it. This is something that you're just going to have to learn. Most people naturally want to aim for center mass as it's the easiest to hit, but if you can learn to aim for the head, you will win the vast majority of all your 1v1 gunfights, and even some 2v1 gunfights. And since we're on the topic of learning gunfights, let's look at some ways to help improve your skills. First, pay attention to your deaths. Look at how you died. Look at things like, did he have the terrain advantage? Which, basically means, was he on the higher ground, or did he have better cover? Did he have a vehicle? Was he using a heavy? And, that's another thing right there, is use your heavy ammo. And I can't stress that enough. It's incredibly useful, and all the time I see people not even bothering with it. They'll just run past it and ignore it. And I don't know why. It's so useful. It's so viable. It's just, when I pull out my machine gun, I will just annihilate everybody. Other things to look at after you die is your health versus his health. Did you go into the gunfight with full health? Did you have the proper weapon ready? Meaning, did you run in with a shotgun and he was too far away? And another really big question, were you standing still in your fight? And I see this all the time, where people stand still and shoot. Guys, it's not the Wild West. You're gonna have to strafe. Move side to side, if you didn't know what strafing means. And you have to jump. You have to make them miss. Don't make it easy for them. Strafe, jump, whatever you gotta do to make sure that they're just not locked onto you. That's how you're gonna win your gunfights. Now, let's look at our UI, or our HUD, our user interface, or heads-up display. The mini-map, or in Destiny it's called the motion tracker, needs to be your best friend. This will tell you where enemies are and how close they are to you. The mini-map, and I'm going to just keep calling it a mini-map. That's what I'm used to calling it. It's technically, like I said, it's a motion tracker, but I just call it the mini-map. Tracks both motion and camping. There's a brief few seconds where you won't show up on the minimap after moving, but there is a blip penalty for camping. Again, learning the maps will greatly increase your minimap knowledge. The inner circle represents 8 meters, and the wedges represent up to 23 meters, and the outer ring represents 24 more meters. If the motion tracker section is outlined in red, but not full red, the enemy is either above or below you. If the motion tracker is full red, the enemy is on your level. And again, that comes back to knowing the map, and you can basically predict where they're going to be at. Now let's look into knowing your enemy. You need to pay attention to your enemy's nameplate. The nameplate shows you their shield and their health levels. When you aim over your enemy with your weapon, it will flare red for just a second. If they have a yellow nameplate, that means that they have a super ready, so be careful. Though sometimes you can use this to your advantage and kind of take one for the team and force them to use it on just you, so your teammates can then take an objective much easier. We've done this quite a bit, where we'll send one of us in to force whoever's holding the objective to use their super so the other guys can come in and take care of him, because a Titan or a Warlock with a super is more dangerous than just the regular Titan, because they have the opportunity to take out multiples. And if we send one in and they panic and use their super to get that kill, then it limits how many of us they can actually kill. So definitely keep that little trick in mind. I think I'm going to split this up into another part, because this is getting kind of long. I typically don't like to have my videos go over 6 minutes or so. Mainly because the average YouTuber attention span isn't that long. That, and I know your guys' time is pretty valuable. In the next video, I will get in depth into the weapons and gear and abilities and all that thing as it pertains to PvP. So, with that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. And until next time, guys, peace.